Concert congestion, how officials are managing the influx of people at the Lenovo Center on opening day of the state fair.
North Carolina is going to be yet again another battlefield contest.
Breaking news. We now know how Republican lawmakers plan to redraw North Carolina's congressional maps. What we're learning about the GOP's new plan and how it will affect next year's election.
I'm tracking a chilly start to the fair tonight. Who could see lows in the 30s and timing out when we'll see rain this weekend.
And Sky 5 flying over the North Carolina State Fair tonight. This is the same opening day, the same night as a Billie Eilish concert at nearby Lenovo Center. Typically, that would mean one thing, traffic backup. But you know what? It doesn't look too bad tonight. Thanks for joining us at 7 o'clock. I'm Gerald Owens. We'll bring you live to the fairgrounds in just a moment. We want to go to Carly Haynes. She's been in the live center, keeping an eye on traffic maps all day. How do they look, Carly?
Pretty good, Gerald. You mentioned that Billie Eilish concert happening at the Lenovo Center. Well, it's scheduled to start right now, and these are the cars outside of the Lenovo Center. This is on Edwards Mill Road. We've seen a lot of cones and people guiding traffic. It's not all the way backed up in the same way that we saw on Tuesday for that Chris Brown concert. So looking pretty good. Same thing with Sky 5 here, flying over some of the cars around that area of Blue Ridge Road, Trinity, all of the areas surrounding Edwards Mill. Still looking pretty good out there, but I can't say the same for everywhere in the area. We are noticing a crash that's shutting down one of the lanes on 540 westbound. This is going to be a crash reported right before Ray Road with backups all the way until Creedmoor Road.
Thank you, Carly. Now to breaking news out of the state capitol tonight. We now know how Republican lawmakers want to redraw North Carolina maps. On the left of your screen is the old district map. On the right, the new map. The change is slight, but the effect could be consequential. Republicans want to change districts 1 and 3. This new map would likely flip a seat to the GOP. WRAL state government reporter Will Doran is here with us to explain how this is going to happen. We want to start with the way lawmakers are tweaking this. Which towns in our area will be affected by this?
So Goldsboro and Wilson are the main areas here in central North Carolina that are going to be affected. They're moving from currently represented by Democratic Representative Don Davis into Greg Murphy's district in the new map. He's the Republican in that more tan-colored district. Some other areas a little bit outside, like Kinston, Greene County as well, also moving over.
Now, North Carolina isn't the only state doing this. Republicans in Texas and Democrats in California have been at the center of a nationwide redistricting battle back and forth. Give us a sense of the bigger picture here, how North Carolina fits into this puzzle.
Exactly. We are talking about just one seat here in North Carolina that could be flipping, but nationally there are dozens. If you look at, Texas, California, Utah, New York, and this all comes back to President Trump, who has asked Republican states to please do this ahead of the 2026 midterms. Usually those midterms don't go well for the party in charge. Right now that's Republicans. So they're looking to try to tweak these maps any way that they can in advance of next year's elections to give themselves a better chance of holding on to control of the U.S. House. If Democrats flip the House, then they could come back in. They could impeach Trump again. They could block some of Trump's big legislative priorities. So they are looking for any way to stop that. And then you have states like California who are looking to fight back. So we are now another piece of this broader national battle.
Now, these maps aren't final. There's still a process that lawmakers have to go through, including a public comment period. Walk us through what's next.
Exactly. On Monday is when this really all kicks off in Raleigh at the state legislature. 10 a.m. they're going to have their committee hearing on this, and we're already hearing that Democrats are planning big protests for that day. So it's going to be just a scene over at the legislature. And then, outside there will be people protesting. Inside there will be people talking about these maps, going over, any proposed changes they may want to make. But in the end, you have to imagine these are more or less already the final maps that we're going to see. They've had lawyers looking at these already and, political experts looking at these, and this is what they want to do. They're probably going to go ahead and do it regardless of what the public has to say.
And isn't it safe to assume that once Republicans do this, it may never change back? Democrats may never get control again in North Carolina?
That's what they say, but when Republicans won and took control of the legislature back in 2011, that was under maps that the Democrats drew.
Right.
So, you can never really predict the future.
Depends on the candidates, too, I guess.
Exactly. It does.
All right. Thanks, Will.
Thanks.
Hey, let's go out to Willie Danley. He is live in Wayne County, one of the areas that could be affected by this proposed change. Willie, you've been reaching out to lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. What are they saying?
Well, Gerald, as you can imagine, the response from Republican and Democratic elected officials have been very different in response to these newly proposed maps. Just a short time ago, we heard from Don Davis, the state representative for the first district here in North Carolina. He said in part, as we look at new congressional districts, I am considering every option, drawing on my local roots, experience in the military, and commitment to education. Republican House Representative Majority Leader Brendan Jones took to X, formerly known as Twitter, calling the new maps beautiful. A short time ago, WRAL spoke to a political professor named Michael Bitzer on why this redistricting is taking place in the first place.
This is North Carolina's contribution to what Republicans are trying to do by insurance policies that will hopefully stem the tide against them in a midterm year that looks like it's shaping up to be a more Democratic year than Republican.
So we just arrived here in Goldsboro. In the last 15 minutes, we're going to be speaking to people who live in this area about their thoughts on this new proposed map and how it may impact them. Willie Danley, WRAL News, Wayne County.
We have gone in depth on redistricting several times in our 7 o'clock news. You can find those segments on the WRAL YouTube page. Let's talk about the weather. Meteorologist Mike Mays in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Mike, beautiful night, clear skies for the North Carolina State Fair, but it's gonna be chilly and people are gonna need a jacket soon.
That's right. All the ingredients are coming together that will allow us to dip into the 30s to low 40s tomorrow morning. And it looks like we have a good crowd at the State Fair, seen by our camera that we have set up outside Dorton Arena. Very cool evening in progress. We had 70 for the high today. We're down to 61 right now. But look how cold Rocky Mount already is. They're down to 54, 56 at Goldsboro. So Rocky Mount is one of those locations that should dip into the 30s tonight. And on the Midway, we've got 61 right now, 58 at 8, 9 o'clock 55, 10 o'clock 54. If you're heading to the fair, maybe going for a dog walk or just getting your steps in, it's going to be mighty cool. Make sure you have your jackets and a heavier jacket, if not a coat, needed in the morning. We have a mix of the 30s and 40s, 39 at Rocky Mount, 37 at Roxborough. Here in Raleigh, we expect about 41 for the low. That'll be the coldest we've had so far this season, the coldest since April 17th. We got rain on the way for the weekend. It's a little change in timing as well. I'll show you coming up.
All right, Mike, thank you. See some jackets and sweaters out there at the State Fair tonight as you look live. Thousands of people in Raleigh tonight for the fair, thousands more coming through the area over the next week or so. WR's Heidi Kirk is live at Lenovo Center, and Heidi, traffic was terrible this week because of the concert at Carter Finley Stadium. From the initial shots that we've seen from Sky 5, they don't look that bad tonight.
Well, Gerald, that's exactly right. We've actually been talking to a lot of these people who are headed into the Lenovo Center right now, and they said it's been completely smooth sailing. But take a look back behind me. You'll see there is a little bit of a line out here at the Lenovo Center. That show is set to start at about 7 o'clock. But, you know, earlier tonight, there was actually a line all the way around this plaza. In a lot of ways, that is good news because that means that people heeded the warning and got here early. If you take a look at this footage right here, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Those long lines, people getting here early, getting inside the Lenovo Center to avoid some of the hassles that comes with having a big event like Billie Eilish in town. And, of course, the State Fair. And, of course, on the minds of so many people out here tonight is that Chris Brown concert that happened on Tuesday. There were wild backups here. Some people tell us they could not even get to the concert at Carter Finley Stadium because of those backups. But, again, tonight, smooth sailing, talking to people just within the last 30 minutes or so who actually tell us they had no problem getting in. Take a listen.
We got off at Lake Boone to make a quick stop, and so we came up Lake Boone and turned on to Blue Ridge. And so we didn't really have any traffic until right before we're going across Wade, and it stopped. So we did sit through a couple light cycles there, but after that, it moved.
And Gerald, as you mentioned, this is just one of 4 events that are going to be held here in this area while the State Fair is going on. Now, we did pose some questions to officials here at the Lenovo Center about these problems in years past regarding traffic and congestion. They didn't mention any sort of changes that they have made this year to kind of ease some of those issues. But officials with the State Fair have said the biggest thing that you can do here is just to plan ahead. So make sure that you have a plan for how you're going to get to the Lenovo Center or the State Fair ahead of a concert or plans to enjoy all of the wonderful things about the fair. We talked to people here tonight who said they took an Uber, they booked an Airbnb in the area so that they could walk. We even talked to some folks who actually said they went to the State Fair early, and then they showed up here at the Lenovo Center just to make sure that they didn't have to go through that traffic fiasco again. So there's lots of ways that you can make a backup plan here tonight. Of course, Billie Eilish will be playing again here at the Lenovo Center tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We'll have all of that covered for you, monitoring every single aspect of this. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live at the Lenovo Center.
And Heidi, thank you. Now, the reason is Lenovo Center much smaller than Carter Finley, so not nearly as many people going out to see the Billie Eilish concert that we saw the other night. Anyway, we've had some bad traffic nights around the State Fair. Remember the U2 concert in 2009? That concert was also at Carter Finley Stadium, which holds a lot more than Lenovo. This is what it looked like on I-40. We're going to have to show you that in just a minute. At the time, the day afterwards, a lot of people told us that they actually missed the concert while sitting in traffic. How frustrating that must have been. Then there was the Beyonce concert in 2016, once again held at Carter Finley Stadium. But this time the weather was the problem. It poured, and people were stuck in gridlock traffic for hours to boot. Once again, many people didn't make it inside to see that concert. Maybe you remember when the Hurricanes would hold their home openers the same week as the State Fair. That was a nightmare at the time. WRAL did stories for years about this until the team and stadium officials got together and they decided to change the schedules. And of course, there was the Sabrina Carpenter concert last year during the fair. Some people sat in traffic for 3 hours there. So folks are getting smarter every year. They're planning ahead, and hopefully they can manage this year as well. We saw something similar this week for Chris Brown. Actually, that was even worse. We'll keep an eye on how things are developing tonight and in the days ahead, and we'll let you know how it goes. We're just getting started here at 7 o'clock. A building renovation at Fayetteville Tech may have led to the active shooter calls this week. Millions of dollars to prevent future flooding disasters. And hundreds of jobs coming to Garner. Your 5 things to know after the break. Plus, the company trying to build a data center in Apex faces the town council. How the developer is responding to complaints from citizens.
News from right here in the WRAL Live Center. A report of a shooting in downtown Chapel Hill. Now, Chapel Hill police say this happened in the area of Franklin Street and Graham Streets. On their Facebook page, Chapel Hill Police Department posted that just after 6 o'clock, Chapel Hill police responded to a report of a shooting near that area. They found a person with gunshot wounds there who was taken to the hospital. They have a suspect in custody. We're working to find out how bad that person's injuries are.
Thank you, Carly. Let's go through some of today's headlines. Here are 5 things you should know. Fayetteville Technical Community College's Spring Lake campus says renovations at the school prompted the active shooter calls this week. The police determined that contractors were using certain tools that sound like gunfire. A large law enforcement presence was at the school to investigate. They say that they never found an active shooter or anyone with injuries. New tonight, we learned that prosecutors plan to file more charges against a man accused of killing his infant daughter. Today in court, they didn't say which new charges they plan to file against James Cruz. He was 17 when Durham police arrested him 2 years ago. His 6-month-old daughter suffered several injuries and died of asphyxiation. A former UNC basketball player and coach has died. Randy Wheel played for Dean Smith in the 1970s. The university announced that he died last week. Wheel returned to Chapel Hill as an assistant coach in the 1980s. He helped lead the Tar Heels to a Final Four as a player and a coach. Governor Stein announced that funds are being distributed as part of a state flood resiliency blueprint program. It's the state's largest investment ever in flood mitigation. The program will provide leaders with data that's necessary to protect residents, communities, and businesses. The project is expected to be completed by October 2028. And hundreds of jobs are heading to Garner. Today, the Gregory Pool Equipment Company announced they're moving the headquarters there, building a new state-of-the-art facility on Waterfield Drive. Right now, the headquarters is in Raleigh. Construction is expected to begin in the next 24 months. The phased relocation will take place over 5 years. If the Apex Town Council approves it, this 200-acre site off the Sharon Harris Road in Apex could become a data center. The developer will go before town officials tonight to address the concerns of the community. WRAL's Kirsten Clark spoke to him before tonight's meeting.
From energy and water consumption to air and noise pollution, I've heard firsthand the fears people have about this proposed data center that could be moving in just a mile away. I asked the developer, would he want to live near this site and why he thinks it's a good fit for this community.
And there's a reason.
Michael Natelli with development company Natelli Holdings finally addressing the elephant in the room.
We're somebody who really wants to do this the right way.
Natelli points to this conceptual design. It shows 4 70-foot data centers totaling 800,000 square feet. He says his team requested 300 megawatts of electricity from Duke Energy.
There's a process we have to go through with Duke Energy to figure out, how can they, and if they conserve the power, how can they do it and what it's going to take. And the costs to run this power to the site, build this substation, any upgrades to the system required to serve our site, we need to foot the bill for that.
As for water use, Natelli tells us the facility is expected to use 1 million gallons a day for cooling. It will be reclaimed water from the nearby Western Wake water treatment facility. What's being done to limit water use?
There isn't any capacity concerns that have been expressed to us about their ability to take reclaimed water from their plant and running it to our site.
Sound pollution continues to be a major concern, one that Natelli says his team is addressing with the consultant.
We're going to have a lot of different methods that we can attenuate for it if we need to, in order to ensure that it's not disrupting the neighbors.
Would you want to live near this data center as it is currently proposed, and why or why not?
A community that's a mile away, there's a ton of existing vegetation between our property and US 1. And all of the design criteria that we're going to implement, the attenuation measures that we're going to provide for the sound, I wouldn't have any issue with this.
Natelli also tells us that the site will meet and exceed the town's light requirements. He says background generators will need to be approved by the EPA. Now, Natelli is expected to present those plans to town officials here tonight. I did reach out to the town of Apex to get officials' response to those plans and neighbors' concerns, but I have not heard back. In Apex, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
Well, the coolest and driest air of the season arrived just in time for the start of the State Fair. How appropriate. 61 right now out at RDU with a dew point of 40. And if you're heading out to the State Fair this evening or tomorrow, definitely going to need the warmer clothes to keep you comfortable. Look how we're cooling down in the Triangle. 59 at Durham and Chapel Hill, 59 at Fuquay, Varina, 57 at Holly Springs, the cool spot, as well as Wake Forest at 57. And we'll see a blend of the 30s and 40s across the area. Here's how we cool down hour by hour. By 10 o'clock, we're at 52. Midnight, we're at 50. And by 7 a.m. here in the Triangle, or at least out of the airport, expect about 41. Those cooler rural locations will be in the 30s tonight. Not going to say there's going to be a lot of frost, but there's a possibility of maybe in protected spots some light scattered frost. Not enough to issue a frost advisory over. So our big weather story for the weekend will be this cold front. It will activate, produce severe weather across the plains. Saturday, there's actually a level 2 risk over the lower Mississippi Valley for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. As of right now, it looks like that will be a weaker system when it arrives here Sunday night. And it may arrive a little bit earlier, bringing rain in the afternoon on Sunday and into Sunday evening. So if you're planning on heading to the State Fair, you'll want to tune into the forecast for the next couple of days as we time this out. Tomorrow we'll have high-resolution model data to look at, get a better idea of timing and how much rain could fall. So tomorrow at 5 o'clock, outstanding. If you want to head to the State Fair or head to area college football games, the weather looks great. It'll be a little chilly, 50s on the midway and on the bleachers. 8 a.m. on Saturday, we're looking at some partly cloudy skies to begin the day, but mostly sunny later in the afternoon. And there are how the showers and storms come to life along the front as that moisture greets the front coming from the Gulf of Mexico. 8 a.m. on Sunday, we see showers and some thunderstorms. The timing is speeding up, whereas at 5 o'clock on Sunday, we see some showers moving into the area. The European model is not showing much in the way of thunderstorms with the approach of the front. By 11 o'clock, we're seeing showers. They'll end after midnight. We'll wake up on Monday looking at quiet weather and cooler weather. So Saturday and Sunday, we'll see a warm up with temperatures in the upper 70s. And then by Monday, we're back down into the 60s and 70s. A blend of the 30s and 40s across the area tonight. And over the next 7 days, it's that temperature seesaw that does continue. We see 70s over the weekend, upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday, 30% chance of rain on Sunday, 50% on Sunday night, cooler on Monday, warmer on Tuesday, Gerald, and then we cool back down Wednesday and Thursday. So that temperature roller coaster continues.
The weather can't make up its mind. Thank you, Mike. Tonight we say goodbye to a man who spent decades making and serving donuts at Carolina Beach. The owner of Britt's Donuts died this week. Ahead in our One Last Thing, we honor his memory. But first, we all know the State Fair is happening this weekend, but that's just the beginning. There's a lot to do when you're out and about. One last thing tonight, some sad news on the North Carolina coast. The owner of Britt's Donuts died this week. Bobby Nivens bought the place in 1974, but Britt's has been around since 1939, 86 years. And during that time, it has been a fan favorite for people visiting Carolina Beach. Nivens was a big fan. He worked there as a teenager, helping to make and serve donuts for years before buying the place and taking over. Nivens was also an active member of the local American Legion chapter. A memorial service is planned for him tomorrow morning. Bobby Nivens was 86 years old. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast, 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and 11 o'clock on WRAL. Hope you get out to the State Fair and have a good time.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.